Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about this storage locker that is making all the rounds and the buzz on social media.
Let's go!
After a lot of searching, a lot of looking into this personally and by others, including Desolator, you know what, me and Desolator have worked a little bit together trying to source where this came from and how this came about. There is several pictures in this storage auction that went up for sale. I last saw it at $263,000. I've been told by others it got up to 268 before it was taken down. One of the main reasons I believe it was taken down is because there's a piece of mail, you can see here on the side here, that actually was identified as someone else had owned that. So the piece of mail was potentially stolen, and after speaking possibly with the person that owns it, which I believe is the person that owns it, they did say that that was theirs and they wish it returned. Now, that is a general thing that I have seen with most Americans. That is something that people don't take lightly, is to have their mail get shipped around and stolen and whatnot. There is a lot of things in this locker. Mostly a lot of people, there's the Power 9 cards, and then there's a lot of the Pokemon Holo Stamp cards that are on either side of the display case. And right now, after talking with other people, not Desolator, so people are aware, we've come to the conclusion this is a bug in, bug out style lock. This is set up in such a way that you can sit up and easily offload it and reload it for trade shows or a flea market in particular. Everything is cataloged and boxed very easily. And at the same time, there is an exhibitor badge from 2016. You can see it here on the one side here for the Phoenix Comic Con, which happened in 2016. And my guess here is the little box there, and the box that's underneath it is what he came back from that Comic Con with. And he didn't take this entire lot and this entire thing to it. It's come to the conclusion that this storage locker is somewhere in Virginia, which is well known for Star City games as well. And that leads me to believe that this possibly was an ex-employee for Star City Games at the same time. Now, one of the biggest indicators here to me that the majority of what we see in here is actually real is this piece that we have right out here in the front. This trading card case, I've been able to finally source it. This thing is from 1995. You can see the discoloration on the case. You can see the plastic is coloring, and that is near impossible to actually clean out. If you look at old plastics, Super Nintendos in particular, the old stylizing of the plastics. At the same time, you can see right at the bottom here where my mouse is, this is a tab that is broken off. This was a very bad thing, a bad indication of these cases, how they were. And these were cases that were used back a long time ago to carry cards to and from cases, and from my understanding was sold at Toys R Us. That alone leads me to believe that majority of what's in here is real. Now, I know there's people out there that's saying, oh, this thing is 100% fake, and it's not. There's people saying that this is a staging. First thing, if you're going to stage something like this, you're not going to spend a couple $100s on the cases alone, up towards to $1,000, depending on where you get them from. And each of the lock cases are magnetically sealed. These things run about $4 American each. These cases, so if you add that up, you've got 10 by 4 by 4, 10 by 4 by 4. That's $320 worth plastic cases, plus the two cases alone, which I have sourced at $200 each. So right there, you're looking at $1,000 in just storage on the sides. We're not talking about everything else that's in here. We're not talking about bins that have refills for these cases. We're not talking about everything else in here. You can scroll up here. You can see Xbox. You can see game controllers here. Up on this one here, you got vintage shirts and hats, Disney and Superman. This is 100% a real storage locker. Assorted Magic the Gathering, very good commons. VGC is what we've determined that to be. So there's a lot of stuff here. This football stadium is a vintage model football stadium that I believe is numbered and is only given out to so many people. So there is a lot in here for a person to sit there and stage something like this. I don't see it. I don't see someone risking their business license, their auction license. I don't see someone risking their livelihood to stage a locker like this. This locker to me is 100% real, especially when you sit there and you look at the last picture that they had in there, which was the seal of them opening up the locker, right? You go, I can go to this last picture. You can see this seal is intact. It doesn't get opened. And you can also see on the ground here, you have the new lock that they're going to put on there that is owned by the storage company. If this thing is actually someone that maybe passed away from COVID, looking at the Magic the Gathering cards, a lot of people are saying that there's no way someone's going to store these. There's no way someone's going to, a lot of people have pointed out that this has something really strange with it. It's actually just fallen down in this case. It does happen frequently where these cards will pop off the bottom there and fall down and stay sealed. They can happen. Usually I put my cards in these cases in a sleeve. But if you want the biggest pop out of these, and if you are a vendor or a flea marketer, or if you're an actual scale vendor, you're not putting them in sleeves because the sleeves can pinch in there and actually ruin the cards. So there's a lot of contention here. A lot of people saying that a lot of the cards are fake. After speaking with very many people that own large collections in Magic the Gathering, that own hundreds of thousands of dollars in cards, most of them that I have spoken to directly have said, no, these look authentic. They look real. Like, you're not... I have an Ancestral Recall that's a fake. Like, yeah, I've got a sticker on it. This thing is fake. I'm using it for videos to make shorts and stuff like that. But if I'm holding this up, even to, like, this one's a beta version of an Ancestral Recall. If I'm holding that up, the colorization is just not even close. You look at the two things decidedly, and, like, yeah, like, this thing is oversaturated. This thing's a piece of crap compared to that. And even though you can still sit there and go, until someone actually picks these up and actually looks at them, you can see the wear edging here on the Ancestral Recall. You can see the white wear on there and not the rest of the way up. Like, that, there's just too much in here to say that these are fake. To say that this is a fake law is absolutely ridiculous. I can't definitely say 100% this is real, but to me, for someone to take the idea here and set this up as a staged event, there's just no way. There's no way. This looks like it's been set up for a bug in, bug out situation where they're going to very many different places and selling these cards on the regular. At the same time, you can see the wear on some of these boxes, on some of these card boxes. You can tell they're old boxes. This one in particular here in the middle, and the one here that's behind all the rest of the Power 9 boxes. You can tell they're old. You can look all the way back here and see the discoloration. This is something that indicates that the cards in contents are old. This is something that has been sitting there for a long time. And with this trading card case in the front being from 1995, if I go into eBay, I can find this card carrying case for $60 right now. And you can see right at the very bottom, it was made in 1995. Suncast, patent pending. This case, to me, is what gives in that a lot of this is real. And you can also see down here, they've even got a picture of the tab that's on here, and that tab at the same time you can see is missing. No one's going to go out of their way to find this type of case to stage it. It doesn't make sense. This listing is this I believe is 100% real of a listing. I believe it got taken down because either it triggered too much in the storage locker system, and it takes it down, and then it has to be actually federally vetted by the United States. This could, like I said, could be someone that has passed away. There is this Hobbit standee on the side that has been deemed stolen, right? So that in itself can bring this thing down. Being able to sit there and tell me that Pokemon cards are faked in here when everything else in here is real, I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. I've seen a video that's going on and around out there that where you take a stock image of a TCG player, stock version of like the Crobat here, and you're matching them up. I don't know Pokemon cards very well, but I know Magic the Gathering cards, and what I see in Magic the Gathering is 100% real. Those cards, well, okay, not 100% real. I'm saying 99.999% real. Like, this thing is very close to mint condition you can do, and where this locker is lines up to starting someone from possibly that works alongside Star City Games. There is just too many flags here not to say this isn't real. Also, I'm going to mention here with this Crobat and the whole real not real scenario, looking at the graded cards, Crobat being $130 $140, I don't see someone going out of their way spending $200+, spending $4 a case to showcase a fake $140 card. I can give you a little bit of credence. You bring up the TCG player, a non-hollow version of the card, and yet this one in particular looks like it gets the reflection of the hollowish from the photographer that took these photos. Now, with the Magic the Gathering card, if they were fake, you would see a drastic glare on the cards. You would see a glare so bad that they wouldn't photograph very well. That's part of the fakes. They have this glossy finish to them, where real cards don't have that glossy finish. You see the case here with all the Pokemon stuff here. If you look in this crate, you can see more of these sealed metallic cases with more of what looks like the rare versions of cards that refill this case straight up. And that is something that I believe is going on with the very beginning here with the other stuff. You can see there's this black case here. Some are believing that these possibly hold graded cards on their slide in a sort of divided foam scenario. So this box right here, this thing right here, they're going to be holding a lot of valuable cards. You're not going to put the graded cards in there right off the bat, because generally they're not going to sell. A lot of what's in there is showpiece. This is something you mount on the wall. This is something that you can have as a showpiece, possibly in a store, showing that you have that. And generally, if this is in sort of a flea market scenario, this is 100% a bug in, bug out scenario. This has a blanket back here to help protect these two cases when they're in transport. Realistic that someone's transporting $1 million worth of cards every week to a flea market in around some sort of Virginian flea market? Maybe. If you guys know of anyone that's doing that in and around Virginia, you might have an idea on who owns this lock. Looks like a real scenario where someone maybe have passed away. I would take a stab in the dark and say someone from Star City Games probably knows who this is or who went. And I mean, I only say that because they're located relatively close to where this possibly is. For anyone that's saying that this is a fake locker and staged locker, the companies are allowed to go in there and move a couple things here and there for picture purposes. And I honestly think the way these two display cabinets are sitting there, they're sitting in a way that is easy for transport, to bug in, bug out, right? And everything's boxed up, everything's ready to go. It's a simple drive up, get this dropped off, and you can see that this is the type of crate that actually gets lifted up and moves to a dock. It's very safe in that sense. It doesn't get jostled very much. It would just be done with like a pallet jack, right? So you're lifting this up, you're taking it over there, you're dropping it off, you're loading it up and getting out of there with this stuff. So because of that, it's a very simple thing of it's going to be loaded up and left and come back like a couple days later to be put away. This is something that goes to and from shows. If anyone in the Virginia area somewhere there knows and has seen this type of cabinetry, has seen this display of Power 9 cards and dual lands at a game show, you know who this is. You're going to know who this is. You're going to know the vendor's name. And I would look back to 2016, 2015, and 2017 in around that time. If you were playing Magic the Gathering at that time, you're going to have an idea on who this is. Or Pokemon even at that time, because you can see there's a lot of newer Pokemon stuff in there that's going to and from. And honestly, you keep up with the trends. You continuously sell the Pokemon stuff. You continuously sell the newer stuff. This is someone that played. This is someone that loved the game. This is someone that is probably quite older, and because the last couple of years with COVID, I would say they probably passed away, and they just happen to have this one piece of mail with someone's name on it that happened to be in there that didn't necessarily belong to him, but he probably picked it up off someone as a third party, not knowing that it might have been taken from the store completely, and he just kept it in the original case. And he was like, okay, well, that's cool. He probably doesn't take it to and from each show. That would be something that stays. The Xbox, the controllers, that's probably something that stays. But ultimately, everything else here is set up to go to and from a gaming convention or a gaming store or a flea market to be sold very easily and then put back in here. He probably has amassed a large collection. Is this stuff all stolen? I after looking at very closely at everything in here, I would say no. I would say not everything in here is stolen, but I would say someone at Star City Games possibly knows them because of how close they are in relation to each other. It's just the Venn diagram's getting smaller in this sense, and I think we're getting closer to where it's going to be. Well, guys, the biggest thing out of this that I can give on any advice is when you deal with any sort of auction, you take a risk-reward scenario in this case. You are risking things being false. You are risking things being true. It's one of those things that you cannot judge just off pictures. If you try and just say, from a picture, this is a fake, there is no way you can do that. And I will give you a quick example of that.
First, on the surface, cards look beautiful. Now, when we get into closer inspection, we'll start off here with this Mox Pearl. You'll start to see up close, it is not in played condition. This is straight up damage.
That very recent clip is taken from Rudy at Alpha Investments. And when he first had these cards down, I was sitting there thinking exactly this auction at the same time, looking at how they are on camera, looking at how the difference, once you pick it up and put it to the camera, how fast your perspective changes between a card in a case, in a photograph, to a card that is right next to the camera. You go from something that looks all right, it looks okay. You bring it up to the camera and you can instantly see that the wearing is there, the damage is there. You can see the card is quite different from the way the photos are. And this is a prime example of what we are seeing in this auction, right? We are seeing very many cards, and from the picture, you cannot tell me you can tell that they are 100% fake until you have them in your hand and they're right in front of you. Anyway, guys, I'm your proud Canadian Phoenix signing off here. Have yourselves a great day. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know down below, is this auction real or is it fake? Honestly, I think it was a real auction, and I think it got taken down because possibly the owner was discovered. Until next time, you guys have a great day. We'll see you again.